Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel called Raise India, and this is a video segment called Today India Tech, in which I talk about the latest technology news happening within India or which is directly related to India. Okay, so let's start it with our first news. Now before talking about the first news article, I have two news articles uh, which I will talk about the second one soon. But they both these both news articles sort of oppose each other. So you can say one is a good news and one is a bad news. So which I found little ironic, but let's see. So government seeks to boost manufacturing, electronics manufacturing. Now, as you all may know, that India is a big importer of electronics products. Like electronics products are right now at the second most imported products within India, and which is really visible. Like all the electronics products which you see, like refrigerator or washing machines or mobile phones or TVs, or they all are almost imported. There are very few products which are built in-house, which are purely manufactured in-house, and and which are sold within India also. So for this, because as these electronics products cost so much to import to India, so India is trying to reduce this import, and it is even trying to target the net zero import goal for the electronics products. Due to this, India will be able to save billions of dollars, and which it can then put in various developmental activities. So it is good that government is trying to boost electronics markets. Yeah, and yeah. So if government will just import the products, will just stop the import of products, it will not be helpful, because how would we survive then? We cannot live without TVs and fridges and washing machines. So what is government trying to do is, it is trying to start out a new kind of a revolution within India for electronics manufacturing. So it is trying to support as much as possible to the electronics manufacturers. There are various subsidy schemes, like there is one is called a special incentive package scheme. So there was a scheme which was supposed to be ended on 25th of July, but has now been extended to 5 years, and it now covers even more products, like 15 new products categories. So basically, this scheme was first started in 2012, where they started to provide subsidies on capital subsidy to 20% in special economic zone products. So basically, as you can see here, the numbers, like $400 billion of demand in electronics product will be seen in year around 2020. So which is a huge 400 billion. It's 25 lakh crores. It's 25 lakh crores. And actually this electronics will exceed the oil import. Currently oil is the highest imported product within India, but by the year 2020 this will even exceed the oil. So that's why government is trying to go set an ambitious goal of a net zero import. So under this scheme, they are giving various benefits to these product categories. So if you are a manufacturer, electronics manufacturer, if you are thinking of starting your own electronics manufacturing company, then if you will target these products, then you would get some benefits from the government. So these are like smart cards, liquid crystal modules, consumer appliances such as machines, electronic product designing, Internet of Things related products, motors, optic fibers, raw materials for electronic products, capital equipment for electronics manufacturing, fabrication of semiconductor chips, and remanufacturing of electronic products. The official said the government also made it easier to receive benefits under the scheme. Yeah, so it's now easier also. In many terms, the government has removed many hurdles from these schemes. I'll link to this article so you can read about it in my video notes. One general thing I wanted to talk. See, right now we import products, and obviously we import good quality products as well as bad quality products. Now, once something is starting to manufactured within India, what quality would it have? That's my little bit of concern, because right now I have motherboards, processors. So let's say I am talking about the computer. So basically I am a young person, and I want to assemble my own computer. Now I'm trying to build a very high-end PC, right? Which will have like good quality motherboards, like these Z97 motherboards, Gigabit Z97 motherboards, Core i5 i7 processors, Haswell generation, 4th generation, good graphic cards and all. Now, once it started building in India, because we are seeing, it's not that India is not producing any electronic products. There are some companies which are producing some products within India, like Micromax is there, Lava is there, but you see those products quality does not even compare to the quality which right now we have due to imports. So that is my little bit of concern, because see, it comes over time. I am not saying that Micromax cannot produce good quality phones, but it is just started. It is learning. Micromax is learning how to build phones. Now slowly Google One, this initiative has been merged with Micromax, and they have produced these Google One phones, or what they call, some cheap Google phones, actually Android ones, sorry, not Google One, Android ones. So Micromax is a good company, and they have even presented last year or maybe this year in the CES, so Consumer Electronics Show, which happens in Las Vegas. They were there also, and they are getting a good international recognition. But if you compare their products with the likes of HTC, Samsung, like so these companies, because due to they have started very earlier, and they have built a lot of products. They have had a lot of learning about the process. So that's why they are now able to produce good quality products which people want to use. But let's say India starts producing these motherboards, these processors and all. I'm not saying India will never be able to produce good quality products, but at the time of beginning, they will obviously be not of that quality. And I seriously, not even me, and I'm sure other people out there also don't want that. Right now they have a PC which runs very stable, which has a good quality motherboard, a reliable motherboard, a nice processor with good clock speeds and all. And suddenly I am forced to buy some processor or some motherboard which is not able to perform good. So it would be like sort of a, I would say, a roadblock for the productivity of a lot of people. So yeah. So in 5 years, there is very difficult for any electronic manufacturing company to come out and produce really high quality products. And if government will totally stop the import, then I don't know. I mean, I don't know about the quality of about the productivity through which we will be using, about the productivity which we will be getting to those products. So anyways, the next is, now this is actually not good. Not good in the sense it is good and it is bad both, but more it is bad. So what happening is, so now there is a certification rule which is already there, which was already implemented, which was formed in 2012 and came into effect in 2013, which is called Bureau of Indian Standards. So no, this is the organization. This is a standard organization which issues these certificates. So what happens is, basically from year 2013, any electronics product which is trying to enter within India, they has to go with a certain kind of certification, and this certification is for testing out the durability of product, how much harmful it could be. Okay, I'm back now. So yeah, I was talking about this certification which went into effect from 2013 and since then any electronic product which is trying to enter into India, which is trying to be sold into India, needs to have this certification approved, which takes obviously time, and also it costs a little bit. Now the thing is, there is not a very good transparency in this, because how much it's going to cost and how much time it would take, there is nothing, no mention about this process anyway. So lots of manufacturers, they cannot schedule their release release dates and all, so it's not working out with their logistics. So it is actually putting a little bit of hurdle for them to release products within India. And but now what has happened, so since 2013 it was already happening, but now the certification which was required, the products for which the certification was required, these categories have been expanded. Now there are more products which needs to be certified before selling. So like a smartphone are also added recently, laptop, desktops, video games, printers, tablets, televisions, optical displays, amplifiers, musical system, wireless keyboards. Now almost everything, like your charger of a phone or your laptop, and all these things are now need to be certified. So like these processors, these graphic card and everything. So actually this article also says that companies are also choosing not to import some products if their demand is not high. So if let's say you want some product but which is not very much demand within India, so companies are not not trying to import that, because if because they have to pay out a lot of money and time in testing and get these certification done, so be uh, which may not work out for them. So for just 5 people, they will not bring out they will not import the latest and greatest graphic card currently which is out there, which is sad actually. This is not good. So I understand that, yeah, electronics needs to be manufactured within India, but India will take some time to catch up on these things. And so let's say I want to test out this new shiny hardware. I cannot get access to it, and obviously I have to buy through black market and all those kind of other alternative ways, which will cost me a lot. Which so basically what this means is these products are gonna become more harder to get, and well, one thing is there that these products, due to their being imported, so country is paying for them up till now, but now Indian government is not does not want to pay for what we need. So this is what it is. Anyways, let's see how it turns out. Actually, the panel which issues the certification, they are saying that it is not the case, because earlier it was also a thought, because when the tablets were included under the certification, then also lots of people said that now it would be very hard to buy tablets within India and all, but still tablets are available, and the government agencies are saying, so at the start, yeah, there will be some hurdles, but as the time goes by, the process will become smoother, and it will not be so much problem. But let's see how it turns out. I'm not feeling really good about it. Anyways, yeah. So one good research in health industry: smartphones can improve health of poor urban women. So what is the case here is actually they are talking about the poor urban women who are either pregnant or have done delivery. So basically they are called postpartum women. So either pregnant or postpartum women. This study is related to them. So what happens is, lots of these women, after getting their delivery, they don't come for their scheduled checkup, due to which it becomes really hard for doctors or for researchers to have any data and to build some recommended health schemes or some so here's so basically what this research says is all these women use their smartphones already, basic smartphones or high quality smartphones. Now the idea is to use these smartphones and get their health data. So without them visiting to the doctor, they can just put their fingers on the camera, LED light or camera, and you'll be able to get your heartbeat. Similarly, maybe some extended, some extension device could be available which can be plugged to a smartphone or any phone, and which can collect, some electronic sensor will collect the data about various parts of the body. So yeah, it is a good thinking actually. So actually there is one bad thing, that these women uh, don't turn up for their scheduled next checkup. They ignore it, so they may think that yeah, the child is beard now, child has come out, what is the need to visit the doctor? uh, but there is a need. So as this article quotes, pregnancy and the year after delivery, when women must see a doctor, give us a window of opportunity to lock in lifelong preventive health behaviors for them. This is what I'm talking about. So if they come for checkup, then the doctor would be able to give them some preventive health behaviors, which will extend their lifespan, and would be good for their children also, and their families also. These opportunities are often missed because they don't return for care, or so that's why the idea is to use a smartphone to get their health data, and to give them the preventive health behaviors and all that. It's a good thinking. Again, it is another example of using technology to improve the lives of poor people. Now here is a ring a bell kind of a thing. IT industry to create fewer jobs. Now the IT jobs are dropping. The reason is, this article has itself mentioned that now companies are overcoming their thinking of quantity over quality. Now companies are looking more about quality than quantity. So earlier it was like they were looking more in quantity. I want more workforce. I do not care how efficient they are. I just want more people. Now companies are trying to hire quality people, like how much efficient they are, how much productive they are. So they will rather employ less number of people with more skills, or maybe more productivity, rather than more number of skills with more number of people with less productivity. So this is what's going on here. So basically, due to this, the jobs are in this coming year, there will be almost 15% fall in the creation of job in IT segment. So now what learning can we get out of this article? And that is basically, we should, if you are looking for a employment, so try to be a productive person, try to be a skilled person, try to so when you go for an interview, when the company seniors will be taking your interview, they will feel that okay, this person will bring in some value to my company. If I'll employ him, he will increase the valuation of the company by putting his own ideas in the work, or by any other way, right? So that is what it is all about. So if you are looking for employment, try to be a quality person, try to be a productive person, try to be a valuable person in other sense. That is it. Now this is study was done by NASCOM. Okay, so IRCT, we already have a IRCT train app. Now there is another app called Book My Train. And the unique thing about this app is it allows cash on delivery option. While I was reading the article, they are saying that the ticket will be delivered in the matter of hours. So obviously a delivery person will come to your home and he will hand over the ticket to you, and then you would give him the cash, like generally you do with most of the e-commerce companies. You buy a product, the delivery man comes, when he hands over the product to you and you pay him by cash. So that cash on delivery option is now included with the railway ticketing apps as well. Actually this is not the official app, I suppose. Yeah, because this article has says, personally though we wish the IRCTC would just integrate the feature into its own app instead of requiring people to download multiple apps just to access specific features. Okay, no, this is IRCTC's official app, but it is a different app than what currently it has. And this app is basically more targeted towards the people who do not have credit cards or debit cards or even internet banking. So by which mode they would pay, right? So often they have to go to the railway platforms and get their tickets. But now with the cash on delivery option, they would be able to just have their ticket at their place, at their home itself, and by giving the cash on delivery, by taking the cash on delivery option. So it is good. It will reduce a lot of the clutter, and so in railway platforms, I'm pretty sure you live in India, you know the condition of railway platforms in our India, in our country. It's so messy, it's a lot of clutter, there is a huge deluge of people always there. Most of the time it is around ticket booking counters. Now with this initiative, I think a lot of people will just opt to go for the cash on delivery option, so that way they not have to go to railway ticket booking counters. So it's good. It will reduce the clutter in our railway stations. Now this one. Before mentioning what this article says, which is very very straightforward as mentioned in this title. Yeah, it is true that lots of e-commerce companies and lots of technology related companies in India lack women. But what my feeling is that women themselves don't take much interest in these kinds of companies. So basically lots of women, what I see, don't take interest in startups. They mostly, their first preference always to get into those multinational companies like Adobe or Oracle or Deloitte or like these kind of companies. And this is a sign of anybody who is not willing to join a startup. He just want a sort of a stable life. He do not want to experiment with himself. He do not want to extend his capabilities. He do not want to so what I'm trying to say is, women should be looking into the startups as well. Women should start taking little bit of risks in their life, um, uh, if it is at all, by not joining any good MNC company. So yeah, so women actually, it's good that they are going to these multinational companies and they are earning good and they are having a stable life and all. But the reason that we lack these women at most of the these high level positions, executive positions, is this only because they are very very less risk taking in their nature. And it was working out till the time they used to work hard in their school times, score some good percentages in the universities, get into a good college and score some good percentage and all. And after that obviously they opt for going to a good MNC company. But in all these, uh, because now the environment in India is changing, because now the focus of government itself has shifted from MNC's company to the startup companies, right? So if women will not think of opting the taking the options of startups, then there will be always a lack of women power, because this is what the major portion is coming, right? The startups, these small companies which are having a huge growth potential, rather than these MNC's companies which are which are stable at a certain point. So if I'm pretty sure if women will confidently come out, come up to the interview and show their skills. Women are lots of skilled. Like women are very skilled. They can be a good programmer. They are very intelligent. I mean, it's not at all a debate that women are less intelligent or less capable than men. It is not at all any question. But what I'm saying is they are less risk taking. So that kind of a little alteration is needed in our society. So women have to think a little bit of risk taking in their nature. So once they start thinking for the startup opportunities and all, obviously like lots of startups will, even if I'll open a startup, I'll gladly have a invite a woman to come on board and give her own ideas about what she thinks and about utilize her skills and management skills and technical skills and everything. So although this article has mentioned that there are some women, so I'm not saying that women are not capable. They are, but they don't opt for these kind of companies. That is the thing. So yeah. So although this article says that startups, because they became busy building their startups, they have totally neglected this gender diversity which is happening. But what I'm feeling is, because women themselves are not coming out to these startups and portraying their potentials. That's why the startups are sort of ignoring or neglecting, because startups don't care about men or women. Startups care about getting their job done, right? And there is no question that there are less capable women out there than men. There are lots of highly intelligent, highly capable women out there, but they are not willing to take much risk in their life. And that is a little attitude change which I would say is needed according to the change in the environment of our country. Anyways, so this is what it is. So women have to come out, have to come up and become a little bit of risk bearing. Yeah. So basically there was a questionnaire issued to these companies like Flipkart and all, out of all the companies. So yeah, so there was a detailed questionnaire sent on last Friday to Flipkart, Zomato and several others, but out of them only Paytm has turned out. Only Paytm has given their answers. So what was the question was, what percentage of overall workforce are women? So Paytm has a overall 35% of women working within them. So out of 100 employed persons, they have 65 men and 35 women. That's a really good ratio. Now, is there a scope to improve? What are the ambitions? Our hiring mandate includes hiring more women at all levels, especially in leadership roles. We hope to touch 50% by financial year. So they are targeting to have 50-50 gender ratio within their startup, which is again a good thing. Now, how many on-board members you have as women? So they have 2 women board members, and they have mentioned their names also. Now, how many CEO or founders, direct reportees are women? So again, there are 2 women who are direct reportees, and there are lots of women who work directly with CEOs. So actually Paytm is having good numbers regarding this gender diversity. Yeah. So see the example here. Paytm has so much women. Why? Because maybe due to something, I don't know. Lots of women have turned up to Paytm, and they've hired them. So startups don't really care about if you're a woman or not. If you're capable, you will be included. That's it. Okay. Now a little bit of privacy and security issue is there. So basically there is a good article from Times of India which talks about how to protect your e-money. Now because our government itself is not forcing I would say, is basically is giving more push to these e-money schemes, like e-transaction and mobile payments, via cards and all. So there are lots of risks also, because instead of a physical money you have physical notes, and from one you have the note and you buy something and you pass it to him. So it's a direct exchange, although there are lots of risk in that also, but that is a different topic. Now how to and because this is a new thing, lots of people don't know about how these things work, the mechanism behind these things. That's why it is risky. If it was been happening for last 10 years and almost everybody knew about how it works, then it is not to say that to blame technology, that technology has made this thing risky. Excuse me again. Yeah. So what I was saying is, because it is highly technical, that's not the reason it is risky. It is risky because a lot of people don't have much knowledge about this. So let's see which points Times of India, this article has mentioned to protect ourselves from to protect our e-money. So first thing they say, avoid third-party computers for bank transactions. So basically lots of people do their bank transactions in cyber cafes and all. Now because they are working on any third-party computer about which they don't know which softwares are installed into these computers, right? They just came, they paid for an hourly charge for the computer, for the use of that computer, and they used it. Now what was the history of that computer, of that system, who used it earlier, who installed which software in that, right? Lots of people, it's difficult to know about these things. So it is always recommended, don't use any third-party computers for your bank transaction activities, because these computers can be made as a trap, because there are even softwares which records each keystrokes, right? These are called rootkits. They record your mouse movements. So suppose, let's say you hired a computer, you visited a cyber cafe, and you have rented a computer for an hour. You used it, you pressed lots of keys, you typed your password, you did everything, and each of that activity was getting recorded. Maybe even your screen was getting recorded. It is totally possible without you knowing, right? Now, after you are done, maybe at night, that same cyber cafe owner will open that computer and would start analyzing what you was doing, and he would be easily able to get your passwords and anything you have done, because everything can be recorded. So that's why it is very, very much recommended never to use third-party computers for bank transactions or any of your highly private activities, like even Facebooks and all. If you don't want to get them to be hacked, don't use them on third-party computers. Now, if you are very proactive email users, so don't ever reply to the emails which ask for any kind of your information about passwords, about your bank details, about, if any email is asking for a confidential information, from any authority it is coming, every time think of it, see it as a malicious attempt. Don't say, okay, it is coming from Government of India, oh my god, it must be something I did wrong, they are asking for these details, I should give them. No, generally, not even generally, in none of the cases, nobody will directly ask for your password. If it is authentic, it will not ask about your passwords, about your bank details and anything. So don't do this. Then again, be extra careful while clicking on links you receive in emails. So so in Windows computers, like if you click a link on an email, it will install a software in the background without you even knowing. So that's also possible. So nowadays, actually, if you are using good email providers like Gmail and Outlook and all, they have really good spam filters and all these kinds of filters. So most of the time you don't receive these kind of emails. So yeah, if you receive any email, so basically lots of these targeted emails which are like advertisements, and these kinds of things, don't click the links. If you click the link, then a software may be installed in the background and lots of bad things would happen. Keep your antivirus of your PC always updated. So even if you get infected by a virus and all, with a Trojan or rootkit or whatever, then you can, if your antivirus will be updated, it will it will detect that virus and it will get rid of it. Use a strong passwords. Now here I have a very cool tip to you. Don't use passwords, think of it that way. Don't use passwords, use passphrases. Okay, now let me give you an example. What would be a passphrase? Let's say you have created a new Facebook account. Okay, now what kind of passphrase I may come up with, which would be tough to build and hard to crack. let's say I built a passphrase Facebook. No, okay, I'm doing it on Facebook, so starting with the word Facebook would be wrong. Okay, so what would be a passphrase if I'm going to register an account on Facebook? So let's say I said, yeah. So let's say I registered the Facebook account on 1st of August. That's it. On 1 August, Facebook improved my social life. So easy to remember and so hard to crack. And in that, in some words you can include special characters, like instead of S you can replace it with dollar. So every S you can replace with dollars. So it would be easy to remember, longer passwords, and hard to crack, right? I think maybe this was very long. You can come up with a little shorter one. So these are sort of a passphrases. So yeah, on 1 Aug FB, something like that. On 1 Aug FB done. On 1 Aug FB done. So how would it be? So it would be, let's say, instead of O, I would use 0 for on. Okay, so let's say I used O N, then caps lock for August. On 1 Aug FB, now D, again for O I'll use 0 N, capital N, and for E, let's say if I have a pound sign, but I'm not able to find pound sign, let's say I use this. So this is a passphrase actually. On 1 Aug FB done, because it is easier, it is a phrase rather than a word, and it is hard to crack, longer. It's a good quality password, and you can come up with these very easily. So use these instead of trying to build passwords with random characters like dy7 these and which you will be not even able to remember anytime. Just try to build a passphrase. Okay, another thing is, whenever you these kinds of activities, always use for HTTPS. Nowadays HTTPS is even in google.com. So if you go to google.com, this is what HTTPS is: a green lock symbol with the HTTPS sign. Now if you click this green lock symbol, it will say your connection to this site is private. Okay, and it will tell you about who issued this certification and all. Like, the identity of this website has been verified by Google Internet Authority. So this certificate is issued to Google Internet Authority. Okay, so your connection is encrypted using a modern cipher suite and all that. So it is 128-bit encryption and all that. So always, whenever you visit a bank website, and if you are registering any website, suppose any new service comes out, right, and you are registering on it, and it involves your transaction, your money transaction, all these things, never ever register on that website unless they are HTTPS. Like, I will give you an example. Actually, there is a website called Work and Hire. While I was a freelancer, I was actually looking into lots of websites. Now you see here, they do not have HTTPS, and I have specifically emailed them about this. I will not join your website unless you do not get HTTPS, and I'm not really able to understand. And this is almost like 5 years ago thing. Almost 5 years ago, I wanted to list myself as a freelancer on this website, and so I could get some. Basically, I was targeting some local clients to this website, but they do not have HTTPS. So I would really keep myself away from this website. It can be very easily hacked anytime. Even if the website is not getting hacked, suppose you live in a building, you're working through this website, and there is somebody else who can, read your data packets from your computer, and which is going to this website, which is called man in the middle attack. So never ever don't accept the websites or web services which do not have HTTPS in their URL. And check your mobile connection. Now this is something new. I think this is some kind of a new kind of activity which is being in rise currently in cybercrime. So what it says is, if your phone network is not there for a long time. So let's say you are seeing that your mobile network is not there for a long time, like you are noticing it for like quite a many hours. So it may be that somebody has inserted a duplicate SIM into your phone, and maybe that SIM is able to record some data, some activity through your phone. So if you are seeing that your mobile connection is not there for a very long time, then it may be that somebody has put any duplicate SIM into your phone. So yeah, so this is what it is. Actually, I would really appreciate about this kind of article from Times of India. It is really good article and really educative article. It's really I'm not saying this has described all the scenarios possible of a cybercrime, but it has mentioned many very very common kind of scenarios where people get hacked or malicious attempts happen to them. So yeah, so again, thanks for watching this video, and if you get time, so please visit my website called raisindia.in. Now I have not put my latest video yet because I'm making it right now. After I am done processing the video, I'll upload it to YouTube, and I'll push in my video notes also, so you would be able to go to read them and click on the links to visit the full articles. And also, if you like my videos, then please subscribe to my channel, which is called Race India. This is Race India channel. So yeah, actually in just one day I got 18 views, so activity is little catching up slowly and slowly. I hope you guys are liking my videos, and if you're liking, then please subscribe, because I have subscribed already with my another account on YouTube. So please subscribe to my channel, so you would never miss again any other video which I do. Okay, thank you guys, thanks for watching.